Hi, everyone. Let's talk about one of the favorite satanic global cult mind control programs that is called, quote, climate change. It's not climate change, it's weather warfare. The cult has had technology since probably the 50s to manipulate and control weather. They've been able to create tornadoes, hurricanes, enhance earthquakes, create floods in certain places, droughts in others. And we see the evidence of their weather warfare in our skies every day, where the planes go by and spray us with toxic chemtrails that include metals and parasites and viruses, and that's really, really harmful to us and to nature. So there is no climate change unless it's what they've created. Now, they've decided to make carbon dioxide the boogeyman. Well, carbon dioxide is what everything green on this planet inhales. What every tree and every plant inhales is carbon dioxide, and they exhale oxygen, which is what we breathe. Nature has a perfect cycle and is fine until it's messed with, which is what they've done. Now, they want to pretend that we're doing this bad thing by existing and breathing and washing our clothes and driving our cars. Nothing could be further from the truth. That is a complete crock. And they want to take more of our money in the form of taxes to, quote, combat climate change. Well, even if there were such a thing, would taking our money do anything? No. Because they're doing their classic Hegelian dialectic where they create the problem, they anticipate the reaction, they flood us with fear porn that we're killing our planet, we're all going to die. How many times have we heard that program? And then their solution is to tax us to death and to restrict and lower our lifestyle. So we're not going to be able to drive except certain days a week and do our laundry and don't water your lawns and all this stuff. That is all fake. Okay, it's all deliberately created by them. And in the end, it all goes back to their great reset where they want to herd us into their one world global government of unelected psychopaths running the planet and controlling all our resources, controlling the water we drink, the land we live on, the food we eat, all in the name of, quote, saving the planet. But that is a lie. The carbon they're trying to reduce is us, folks. We're made of carbon. It's the depopulation agenda, and it's to harvest more from us and to control us more. That's always their agenda. Thanks for listening. Hi, everyone.
Because the alphabet you know is
from President Trump.
Looks like, I don't know, very tough. Central casting. When you talk about central casting, this guy's out of central casting. I'm telling you, there's nobody in Hollywood that can look like this guy. Yeah, these guys are central casting, like from a movie. Central casting, you can't cast anybody. You don't have anybody in Hollywood that looks like these guys. And a great looking central casting. And we have great generals, a great central casting general. Look at that.
Ne kadar güzel insanlar.
Central casting.
Onlarla ilişki kurmak ne kadar.
He's like central casting for ownership of a hotel. And everyone is central casting. Central casting. Glasses, head, boom. I watch Judge Kavanaugh, who's central casting. This guy's like central casting. You couldn't pick a better guy in Hollywood. There's no actor that could do it better. You are so central casting. Great marks, great schools, the best everything, the best of everything.
So what do you think he means by central casting? From
lemon on beets and just...
This map spread some time ago, and it exposes and explains all the lies that have happened throughout history, from the beginning of Atlantis up to our present day. It reveals everything: history, politics, false news, manufactured diseases, manipulation and mind control, natural disasters and man-made earthquakes and fires, supernatural powers and non-human factors on Earth, policies, Nazi rule, and Hitler. Everything is exposed in this map. This map spread sometime.
Coronavirus, COVID-19, the whole thing was premeditated. It was murder. It was active terrorism by a state against the world. Coronavirus, COVID-19.
Military tribunals going on, Joe. Show me the proof. Show me the proof. Show me the proof. You sound like a current day Pharisee.
This speech to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. We've just arrived at the airport, and now we're taking the ferry over to Camp Justice. That's home to the military trials and the military courts. Of course, the big case is the 9/11 prosecution. There is so much secrecy around this entire case. There are a lot of things that we would like to show you, but they're off limits. They're restricted for national security reasons. And what's striking to me is that so many Americans don't even realize that the detention camps are still open. The military trials have still not concluded. And I just looked at this time and checked it again for Americans to really see what was happening here. As the Trump administration begins its first 100 days in office, we are at Guantanamo Bay and we'll be reporting from here at Camp Justice. We'll be inside the courtrooms. We'll have up on the status of the military trials as well as the detention camps. This new administration is going to have to make some hard choices about the future of this operation.
And the reason why Trump is always...
Today, I'm going to go over with you guys how to properly detox from the vaccine. This is a common question that I get from a lot of people because clearly a lot of people are vaccinated. So if you're someone that received this shot, there are several areas you need to cover. And the first and most important is going to be removing the spike proteins and the mRNA, which is going to continue to replicate inside of your body. Now, there are several known substances to do this, and 3 of which contain shikimic acid. This is going to be white pine from your white pine tree. This is going to be star anise, the spice star anise, and this is going to be the green seed pods from the sweet gum tree. Now, all of these can be made into a tea or a tincture and consumed several times a day for at least 60 days, which is the recommended timeline for removing these proteins. Now, the last substance is colloidal gold, and not only can colloidal gold help to destroy and remove the mRNA and spike proteins, it's also shown to destroy nanobot technology. And I actually shared a video not too long ago of Dr. Nixon in the UK showing this happening under a microscope. So you want one of these substances. You don't have to do all of them. One of these substances several times a day for at least 30 to 60 days. Now, the next concern is cardiovascular support. And sadly, if you were vaccinated, you absolutely compromised your heart and the system of the body. And we know that myocarditis is one of these severe side effects. So in this situation, I recommend taking an herb called hawthorn. Hawthorn is known as the heart herb. It's long been used for congestive heart failure and heart disease and myocarditis. It's used to naturally lower blood pressure and cholesterol, to prevent plaque. And in fact, this is one of my top recommendations for heart health and cardiovascular support in general. Now, it doesn't matter how old you are. You can be 20 years old. Sadly, if you got this shot, again, you have compromised this system of the body. So taking a daily supplement of hawthorn, probably for the rest of your life, is not going to be a bad idea. The next step is to remove the toxic hydrogels that were used in the shot. And for this, we recommend the world's superior binder, which is going to be fulvic humic acid. Now, not only can this substance bind up and remove toxins and gases and metals and mycotoxins, it can also remove synthetics like microplastics and hydrogels. Now, above this, fulvic humic acid is a trace mineral supplement, and many of these trace minerals we are missing from our modern diet. So this is an excellent thing to supplement with, whether you are somebody vaccinated or not. Now, last but not least is to open up the detoxification pathways, which is your body's avenue for removing toxins and substances that shouldn't be in there. And it includes systems of the body such as your lungs, your liver, your kidneys, and your lymphatic system. Now, there's many different ways to do this. You can jump on a trampoline, which is actually kind of fun. You can do lymphatic massages. You can consume liver healthy foods that are going to increase bowel flow. You can also incorporate herbs such as burdock root, dandelion root, and milk thistle seed, all of which we use in our lymph and liver, which is for this exact purpose. And this is our recommendation before any type of cleansing. Now, you want to do this at least for 60 days, like you're going to be removing the spike proteins. This is going to help to excrete them from the body. And then after your 60 days, you can periodically open up your detoxification pathways, because this is going to be beneficial for your overall health and wellness in general. Again, this is how your body is ridding itself of toxins, and we can't ignore that we live in an extremely toxic world. So these are my top recommendations. If you are somebody that received this shot, it is a checklist. You got to remove the mRNA, you got to remove the spike proteins, you have to remove the hydrogels, you need to support your cardiovascular health, and you need to open up the detoxification pathways. Now, if you want to learn more about natural health, you want to purchase our colloidal gold, our star anise, our hawthorn, or any of the things we talked about today, you can find this and more at healthprimitive.com. Today, I'm going to go over with you guys
Vengeance. Yeah. So anyway, how the elites think. There's two things. One, if you don't have discernment,
they can do whatever they want to you and they feel completely justified because of the universal laws. The universal law says that basically the elites cannot lie to us. They have to tell us what's going because that will rid them of their karma. They're also not allowed to push us because free will is a huge thing here on earth with the natural law and all of that stuff and karma. But they're allowed to omit information. They're also allowed to lie a little bit by skewing the truth. And they're allowed to fully not disclose anything to you because, well, why would they want to? They're trying to take control over you, right? However, if you have discernment and pattern recognition, and what is pattern recognition? It's IQ. If you've ever taken an IQ test, you realize that it's all about pattern recognition and how fast you can recognize those patterns as to what comes next. Discernment is your ability to actually talk to the other side or the architect or God or the universe, and it's that feeling inside of you that kind of keeps you safe, your intuition. And the stronger your intuition and discernment are, that means the more you are in touch with yourself and the higher beings, which makes it harder to control you and also makes it harder to kind of lead you in a way that they don't want you to be led in. And that is the two things that you need to have in order to survive what's coming up. It's all a psychological warfare with them. That's it. So if you stay grounded and if you really get in touch with your discernment and if you get in touch with higher things, then you will realize why the Bible says do not be afraid 365 times in the Bible, because you should not be afraid any day of the year. And why does the Bible say the truth will set you free? Because if you can see the truth and you can see the light behind their darkness, then you will realize that they have absolutely no power over you and they can't really do crap unless you volunteer for it. And if you don't volunteer for it and if you don't play into their games, then they literally have no power over you. That is why this entire thing is all about fear and control and how they can get inside of your head. So as long as you keep your head clear, you're grounded, and you can see the pattern recognition that is coming, the elites or the deletes, or as I like to call them, lot lizards, because I think they're lizard people, then they have absolutely no power over you. I hope that makes sense. If you really want to know what the vengeance.
The last 3 years has been, basically. Plandemic 1.0 was just a dry run. It was a dry run to collect data, to see the compliance numbers and to see how far they can push us. And basically, through our compliance and through people's fears and pushing other people into that situation, they basically managed to get a lot further than they thought they would. So right now, what they're doing is they're putting puzzle pieces together, basically a chess game with multiple pieces, and they're trying to corral us into a situation that we will not be able to get out of. So in Plandemic number 1, what did they do? 1, propaganda. 2, fear-mongering. 3, they basically turned people against each other, families against each other, over literally a flu. Literally. This is what we're talking about. And so now, because they realize they can't do that again, they cannot make the same steps for Plandemic number 2, what are they going to do? They're going to put pieces into place. And this is where the digital ID comes into place. And what they're doing with this digital ID right now is basically conglomerating all and everything that you live off of into one entity that is basically regulated by one entity. That is not okay. Right now, we have driver's licenses, birth certificates, SIN numbers, and health numbers that are regulated by different regulations and different laws. What they will do now is they will conglomerate that into one, so they just shut that off with a button when they do a Plandemic number 2 and they want to mass vaccinate. So those of you who are saying that this is a conspiracy theory, literally remember how they played out 2020 all the way up till 2022? It started off with, it's just 2 weeks to flatten the curve. We're all in this together. Stay home and save lives. And then it turned into stay home and save lives to let's put the unvaccinated into camps and basically force vaccinate them. Do you not see the entire picture? And so now, because they cannot repeat the steps that they repeated in 2020, they can't start giving money to certain large corporations to push vaccinations and universities to push vaccinations. Now they will do it through the digital ID. Because that digital ID is basically connected to everything that you need in life to survive because of the system that they created. You now, if you don't want to get vaccinated, you won't be able to go and find work at McDonald's and just sustain yourself. They will literally just boop, one button and they will shut you off. They will shut off your bank account, they will shut off your driver's license, and they will literally starve you out until you comply. And this is why the digital IDs are dangerous. Now, if you understand how the elites work, they basically work as a chess game, and they move all of these puzzle pieces in slowly so that we don't notice what's going on. However, if you're smart and if you've been watching them and if you know what's going on, you will actually get that these little puzzle pieces that they're trying to put together is to control us. So wake up. Let me explain to you guys.
Hunter.